Yo, what's going on YouTube? Back with another one, it's your boy CreateWithD'Anthony. This video right here, we're gonna be sketching on the wood, painting, and gonna be doing a little painting, we getting ready. I'm gonna do this video about, pretty much not about, but I'm gonna do a Playboy bunny. Trying to do a Hugh Hefner style mirror or whatever. I'm gonna do a Playboy bunny series. So, yep, y'all stick around. I'll get this all on rock.
Through the wrong door before it is ever told where to go. People assume the problem is that they do not earn enough. For most of them, the real problem is what they do in the first hour after they get paid. Here is what the data shows. Let us keep this fair and let us make it
this right here.
John and Diana are not that different on paper. John takes home about $5,400
sketch and pencil
after taxes. Diana takes home about $6,300 a month. By raw cash flow, Diana wins every single month. She has $900 more landing in her account than John does. If money were a race of who earns the most, Diana laps him. But money is not a race of earning, it is a race of routing. Watch what each of them does in the 60 seconds after the deposit hits. Diana opens her banking app and feels good. The balance is high. She mentally files the bills she knows are coming. Rent, the car, the credit card minimum. Then she lives. She spends from the top of the account, freely, all month long, and whatever survives until the next payday, she tells herself she will save. Some months that left over is $300.
By the way.
Some months it is nothing. Some months it is below nothing. Now watch John. The moment his paycheck
did a print of him. I don't think I never did a Playboy bunny painting. So
a fixed amount leaves for his retirement account. A fixed amount leaves for his emergency fund. A fixed amount leaves for his long-term investments. By the time John looks at his checking account, the money he is allowed to spend is already the only money there. He is not more disciplined than Diana. He has simply made discipline unnecessary. His system spends his willpower for him while he sleeps. This is the whole game. Diana saves what is left after she spends. John spends what is left after he saves. Those two sentences sound almost identical. They produce two completely different lives. Meet Carla, John's co-worker. Carla is 32, earns $68,000, and 3 years ago she copied John's exact setup. Meet Maya, 28, who just landed her first real job at $52,000 and is about to learn this. For the first time, 4 people, 4 paychecks. The order they move their money will decide everything. Here is what nobody tells you about willpower. Willpower is not a savings strategy. It is a tax you pay every single day and it runs out. Every time Diana opens her banking app and sees $4,000 sitting there, she has to decide consciously not to spend it. She has to make that decision again at lunch, again at the checkout, again when the sale email arrives. Most people lose this fight not because they are weak, but because the fight never ends. The account is full, the temptation is constant, and the human brain is simply not built to say no to 100 times a month. John removed the fight entirely. His savings left the account before his brain ever registered them as available. You cannot spend money you never saw. That is not a motivational quote. That is the mechanical reason pay yourself first works when budgeting apps fail. The fix is one setting. You log into your bank, and you schedule an automatic transfer for the same day your paycheck arrives. Not the end of the month. The same day, the money moves into savings and investments before it ever touches the part of your brain that wants things. Most people try to save with their willpower. The wealthy save with their calendar. Let me show you what that calendar actually does over time, because the gap is bigger than it looks. John started automating $800 a month into investments when he was 32. Not a heroic amount, less than the cost of his old car payment. He never raised it dramatically. He just never turned it off. At a long-run average market return, those automatic transfers quietly compounded for 2 decades into the bulk of his $840,000. He did not pick winning stocks. He did not time a single market dip. He simply moved money first, every payday for 20 years, and let compounding do something his willpower never could. Now compare Diana. Diana has saved on and off the entire time. The problem is the on and off.
We're gonna go ahead.
She saves $300 one month, then rates it the next, then starts over, then stops. Her money never gets to sit long enough to compound. Compounding rewards consistency far more than it rewards size. And automation is the only reliable way humans stay consistent. A small amount that never stops beats the large amount starting over. That is the quiet engine under everything
I'm gonna use this for a straight edge.
Now here's the free money most people walk straight past. If your job offers a retirement match, your employer is handing you a raise that you have to reach out and take. And most people do not take it. Here is how a match works. You put in a percentage of your pay, and your employer puts in money on top of it. Free, just for participating. A common match is your employer adding 50 cents or a full dollar for every dollar. You contribute up to a limit. That is an instant 50 to 100% return on your money before it is invested in anything. There is no other place on earth that hands you that. And yet, 1 in 4 workers fail to contribute enough to capture the full match. Sit with that number. 25% of people are leaving free money on the table every single paycheck. Across the country, that adds up to roughly $24 billion in unclaimed employer matches every year. The typical worker who misses the full match leaves about $1,336 on the table annually. That sounds small. It is not. Over 20 years with growth. That missed match alone is worth around $42,855. That is a car. That is a year of retirement. Walked past every payday because nobody told them to grab it first. And it is worst for the people who can least afford it. 42% of workers earning under $40,000 miss the full match. Workers under 30 are twice as likely to miss it as workers over 60. The youngest, lowest earners are the ones leaving the most free money behind. So the first move on payday is not to pay a bill. It is to capture every cent of that match. Maya, on her very first paycheck, sets her contribution to exactly the percentage that grabs her full company match. She feels the paycheck get a little smaller. She does it anyway. That small sacrifice is the highest return decision she will make all year. Run the numbers and nothing else comes close. Carla is the proof. 3 years ago, Carla was contributing $0 to her retirement account. Her employer offered a dollar-for-dollar match up to 5% of her pay. On her $68,000 salary, that was $3,400 of free money sitting there that she was walking past every single year. She thought she could not afford to contribute. The truth was the opposite. She could not afford not to. The day she copied John's setup, she turned on a 5% contribution and captured the full match. Overnight, her effective savings rate did not go to 5%. It went to 10%, because her employer matched every cent. She found money she did not know she had simply by reaching out and taking what was already being offered. Most people leave that money on the table for years and call it being responsible. It is the most expensive habit they own. There is a friend in this story too, and he is the cautionary tale. Mark is 30, earns $60,000, and Mark has tried everything. He has downloaded 6 different budgeting apps in 2 years. He color codes his spending. He starts every month with a beautiful plan and a fresh spreadsheet. And Mark has nothing saved because every single one of his systems depends on him deciding in the moment not to spend. The apps track the money after it is already in his hands when the war is already lost. They tell him he overspent on Friday. They never stop him on Friday. This is the fatal flaw in almost every budgeting tool. They are scoreboards, not gates. They report the damage instead of preventing it. Mark does not need more information about his spending. He needs the money gone before he can touch it. The day Mark finally set up a single automatic transfer for payday, he did more for his finances than 2 years of apps ever did. Because automation does not depend on him being strong on a Friday night. It simply moves the money while he sleeps. Now here is the order that feels wrong, but actually works. Most people, the moment they get serious about money, attack their debt first. It feels responsible. It feels moral. And it is mostly right, except for one step that comes before it. You capture the employer match before you throw extra money at high interest debt. This sounds insane the first time you hear it. How can saving come before paying off a credit card? Charging 24%. Here is the math that breaks the intuition. A dollar match is an instant 100% return. Paying off a 24% credit card saves you 24%. 100 beats 24. Even a 50-cent match, a 50% instant return, beats almost any interest rate you will ever carry. So the order is precise. First, contribute just enough to capture the full match, and not a dollar more yet. Then stop and turn all your remaining firepower on high-interest debt. Credit cards, payday loans, anything above roughly a 10% rate. That debt is a fire. It burns faster than almost anything can grow. So you grab the free money that beats it, then you put the fire out completely before you do anything else. Most people get this backwards. They either ignore the match while killing debt, or they invest everywhere while the credit card quietly eats them alive. The order is the strategy. Now here is the number that quietly protects everything else you build. The emergency fund. Once the match is captured and the high interest debt is dead, the next dollars go here. And this is the step that keeps you from falling all the way back down. An emergency fund is 3 to 6 months of your living expenses. Sitting in a boring savings account, doing nothing exciting, waiting, and almost nobody has it. 59% of Americans do not have enough saved to cover a single $1,000 emergency. Nearly half have no emergency fund at all. So when the car dies, when the tooth cracks, when the job disappears, they reach for the only tool left, the credit card. And just like that, they are back on the 24% fire they may have just escaped. The emergency fund is the wall that stops that fall.
Get in there,
John keeps
YouTube.
6 months of expenses
He
in
is
cash.
getting
It has
there.
never made him rich. It has done
Really
something
getting
wrong
there.
for him. It has kept him from ever going backwards. Diana has no will. So every surprise becomes new debt, and every year she runs in place. The emergency fund is not an investment. It is the thing that protects every investment you will ever make. And here is the small detail that makes a real difference. Where you keep that emergency fund matters almost as much as having it. Most people let it sit in a regular checking account earning almost nothing, where it is also too easy to spend by accident. The better move is a separate high-yield savings account, ideally at a different bank from your checking. Two things happen. First, the money earns a real return just for sitting there. A few $100s a year on a $10,000 balance for doing absolutely nothing. Second, and more importantly, the friction protects you from yourself. When the money lives somewhere you cannot see it and cannot tap in 2 clicks, you stop accidentally spending on your safety net. Diana kept her so-called savings in the same account she spent from, so it was never really savings at all. It was just spending she had not done yet. John keeps his wall in a separate account he almost never logs into. Out of sight, out of reach, quietly earning, that is the difference between money that protects you and money that just happens to still be there. Now here is the account, the quietly wealthy fund, without ever bragging about it. Once the match is captured, the high interest debt is gone, and the emergency wall is built. The next dollars on payday go into tax-advantaged retirement accounts, and the order is too. A Roth account lets your money grow, and you pay 0 tax when you pull it out in retirement. A health savings account, if you qualify, is arguably even better. Money goes in untaxed, grows untaxed, and comes out untaxed for medical costs. These are the closest things to legal magic the tax code offers. John has been quietly maxing these for 2 decades. He never talked about it. He never posted about it. He just routed money into them every payday, automatically, and let 30 years of compounding do the loud work in silence. The wealthy are not louder than you. They are just more automatic than you. And the tax savings are not small. Every dollar John routed into these accounts grew without the government taking a cut along the way. Over 30 years, that difference alone, paying tax once instead of every year, can mean hundreds of thousands of extra dollars in the same person's account for the exact same contributions. He did not earn more than Diana to get there. He just let the right accounts do the quiet, tax-free heavy lifting while she paid full price on everything she touched. Now here is the trap that scales with your income. And it is the reason Diana earns more than John but has less. It is called lifestyle creep, and it is the silent killer of high earners. Here's how it works. You get a raise. The raise feels like freedom. So your spending quietly rises to match the new income. A nicer car, a bigger apartment, the upgraded everything. Within a few months, the raise is gone, fully absorbed, and you feel exactly as stretched as you did before. This is why a person earning $150,000 can feel the same paycheck to paycheck panic as someone earning $50,000, just with a more expensive car payment. 20% of households earning over $150,000 still say they are stuck in the cycle. Diana did everything society told her to do. She earned more, and every time she earned more, her life quietly got more expensive and her savings stayed flat. John did the opposite. Every time John got a raise, he sent most of it straight into his automatic transfers before his lifestyle ever saw it. He let his income grow and refused to let his spending chase it. Here is what nobody tells you about raises. A raise is not money. A raise is a fork in the road. One path automates it before you feel it. The other path lets it evaporate into a slightly nicer life you will not even remember. Now let us put a single number on the whole system, because there is one. The target is to route about 25% of your gross income into your future every payday before you spend a cent of the rest. That is the savings rate the math rewards. It sounds steep. You do not start there. Maya starts at the match, maybe 6%, and climbs 1 percentage point every time she gets a raise, so she never feels the squeeze. Carla, in 3 years, climbed from 8% to 19% and barely noticed, because she raised it on raise days when the new money never hit her lifestyle. The 25% is the destination. Automation is the road. And the order, match, then high interest debt, then emergency fund, then tax advantaged accounts, is the map that keeps every dollar going to the highest return job available the instant it arrives. Let me walk you through one real payday, Maya, so the whole system stops being abstract. Maya gets paid $2,000 after taxes, twice a month. The old way, she would see $4,000 a month and spend down from the top until it was gone. The new way, the moment each 2,000 lands, the machine goes to work before she is even awake. First, her retirement contribution has already grabbed her full employer match. That came out before the money ever hit her checking. Next, a small automatic transfer pushes $150 into her separate emergency fund account. Then another automatic transfer sends $100 into her Roth. By the time Maya opens her banking app over coffee, the number she sees is already the number she is allowed to spend. There is no decision left to make, no willpower required. She did not budget harder than anyone else. She just stood the system up once and let it run. That is what doing this when you get paid actually looks like in practice. It is not heroic. It is a handful of settings you turn on one evening and almost never touch again. Now you might hear all of this and think it sounds too simple. That was Diana's father's objection too. He grew up being told the secret was simple. Just spend less than you earn. Save the difference. Do not be foolish. And he is not wrong exactly. But notice what that advice quietly assumes. It assumes you will save the difference on purpose, by hand, with discipline, month after month, for 40 years. It puts the entire weight of your future on the weakest tool you own, which is your willpower at the exact moment you are tired, and the thing you want is right in front of you. The old advice is correct about the destination and silent about the road. Pay yourself first is the same wisdom, finally given a working engine. It does not ask you to be disciplined 40,000 times. It asks you to be disciplined
I'm trying to
once.
think, should I go with
The evening you
pink
set it up, and then
or
carries the
a
discipline
brown
for
or
the rest of your life.
chestnut?
That is the
I
update.
think I'm gonna
Same
go
goal your
with
grandparents had. A mechanism
pink.
they never had. Let me put Diana's situation in plain numbers
I
because
think
this
I'll
is
go
the
with
part that
pink.
stings.
Yeah.
Diana has earned more than John for most of her career. Over 15 years, the extra
I'll go
income she
brown.
brought in adds up to well over $100,000
Call
more
it
than
chestnut.
John ever
Yeah,
made.
this
And she has
closer to a real
$4,000
red.
to show for it. John, earning less the whole way, has $840,000. That is not a small gap. That is two completely different retirements, built from nearly the same raw materials. Diana did not lose that money in a crash. No villain stole it. It simply leaked out, a little every payday, through an account she spent from before she ever saved from. 15 years of higher income, routed in the wrong order, produced less than 15 years of lower income routed in the right one. If you ever needed proof that the order matters more than the amount, that is it. Diana is not behind because she earned too little. She is behind because her money was never told where to go before she could spend it. So here's the twist, and it is the part almost nobody gets. The best financial advice you will ever hear is not save more. It is not earn more. It is not cut your coffee or track your lattes or download another budgeting app that you will abandon in 9 days. The best financial advice is this: change the order your money moves. That is it. That is the entire secret that separates John from Diana. They earn similar money. They live in the same world. The only difference is that John's money is told where to go before he can feel it land, and Diana's money is spent before it is ever assigned a job. You do not have a spending problem. You have an order problem. And an order problem has a one evening fix. Tonight, you log into your bank. You set one automatic transfer for the day you get paid. You set your retirement contribution to capture every cent of your match. And from that day forward, you become the person who pays themselves first, before the world gets its hands on your paycheck. Money you never see is money you never miss. The willpower battle that Diana fights and loses 200 times. A month John simply never has to fight. He automated the decision once, years ago, and it has been quietly making him wealthy ever since. Most people will hear this and nod and change nothing. The ones who win are the ones who open the bank app tonight, while it still stings a little, and move the money first. So the next time someone tells you the secret to wealth is a hot stock, or a side hustle, or some complicated trick, ask them one question. What happens in the first 60 seconds after you get paid? Because that answer, not your income, not your IQ, not your luck, is the single thing that decides whether you end up like John or like Diana. Do this when you get paid. Pay yourself first, automatically, in the right order, before you ever see the money. If this showed you something about your paycheck you had never noticed, subscribe to Desmond Wealth and turn on the bell. We break down the hidden math behind the financial decisions you Face every day and make the decision that matches your reality, not someone else's sales pitch. Meet John, 52 years old, a warehouse operations lead earning $58,000 a year. Last Tuesday, John opened his brokerage app and saw a number he had chased for 19 years. $100,000, 6 figures. The milestone every finance video swears will change your life. And here's the part nobody tells you. This exact moment is where most people quietly destroy it. Not by losing money in a crash, by making one of 4 decisions that feel completely reasonable. Because at $100,000, your money changes jobs. And almost nobody notices the switch. Charlie Munger, the billionaire beside Warren Buffett, called this the hardest $100,000 you will ever earn. He said, get your hands on it however you can. After that, the snowball rolls for you. But Munger's advice hides a trap. Most people here ease off the gas and stop entirely. Today we run the real math on what to do the moment your net worth touches 6 figures. Because the gap between the person who protects it and the person who wrecks it is enormous. Here is what makes $100,000 different from every dollar amount before it. At 8% average returns, $100,000 earns $8,000 in a single year. That is $667 every month generated while you sleep, touching nothing. For the first time in your life, your money out-earns a part-time job you never clock into. Below $100,000, your savings rate is everything. Your contributions do almost all the lifting. Above it, a second engine kicks in. Growth starts pulling weight your paycheck used to carry alone. This is the snowball Munger described, but a snowball only rolls if you keep it on the hill. Step off the hill, cash it out, or get reckless, and the snowball melts before it ever grows. Most people treat 6 figures like a finish line. It is actually the starting line of the real race. Cross it wrong and you sprint backward. Cross it right and physics finally works in your favor. So before you dismiss any of this, hear what happened to 3 people who all hit the same number. Same $100,000, same year, 3 completely different decisions, 3 completely different endings. Here's what the data shows when the milestone meets the mistakes. Start with Diana, 34, a marketing manager in Denver, earning $72,000 a year. It took Diana 11 years of steady saving to push her net worth past $100,000. The night she crossed it, she felt something dangerous. She felt like she had finally made it. Now meet Carla, 32, a software tester earning $81,000, aggressive and impatient by nature. Carla hit $100,000 in just 7 years by living lean and investing hard. But Carla did not see 6 figures as safety. She saw it as ammunition for a bigger bet. And finally Maya, 28, a nurse earning $64,000, careful with every dollar she keeps. Maya reached $100,000 young, and the number scared her more than it thrilled her. She was terrified of losing it, so she made a decision that felt safe and quietly cost her thousands. 3 people, same starting line, same $100,000 sitting in 3 different accounts. Now watch what each of them did next, because this is where the fortunes split apart. Diana looked at her $100,000 and decided she had earned a reward. A newer car, a nicer apartment, small upgrades that each felt harmless in the moment. Carla looked at her $100,000 and felt untouchable, like the rules no longer applied. She moved a huge chunk of it out of index funds and into fast, exciting, speculative bets. And Maya looked at her $100,000 and did the one thing that felt safest of all. She left every dollar sitting in cash, earning almost nothing, waiting for a crash that never came. 3 reasonable sounding choices. 3 people who each believed they were being smart with their money. Let's keep this fair and run the exact numbers on where each decision actually led. Here's what nobody tells you about lifestyle creep. It never arrives as one big obvious mistake. It arrives as 100 tiny guesses that each feel completely earned and completely harmless. Diana upgraded her car. The payment
getting a little late here in Atlanta, so you know, I'm in this video right here. Y'all like, comment, share, subscribe. Till next time.
Then dinners out, subscriptions, the little luxuries that quietly become the new